My name is Michael. I'm a therapist who lives in the United States, and I'm going to be talking with you all a little bit just about some ways to cope with some ongoing trauma and just everything that you guys have been dealing with lately. So, first of all, just to get to know me a little bit better, yeah, like I said, I'm a therapist who lives in the United States. I like to work with trauma survivors, like to help people kind of talk about their problems and anything that they're struggling with. And so I was really excited to get to come and talk with you guys this evening. Um, in case you haven't heard me talk before, I did have the chance to visit Myanmar in 2016 for a couple months. So I'm a little familiar with your guys' country. It was awesome getting to visit Myanmar, and it was, yeah, so much fun getting to know the people who live there too. So my goals for this presentation are to offer support to you all. I know that you all have been going through so much right now, so wanted to give you guys as much support as I could. Wanted to talk to you about some ways to maybe cope with or handle everything that you all have been going through. I wanted you guys to have a chance to talk a little bit about your experience in our small groups and also just help you have a better understanding of trauma and help you better understand maybe um, why you've been feeling the way you're feeling with everything you've been going through. I did want to point out that I'm really not in a position to talk about politics tonight or anything like that. So that's not my goal of this talk. Really, just am here to offer you guys as much support as I can. So first of all, I did want to say that people all over the world are seeing everything that you are going through. Maybe you have felt like you're alone or like the rest of the world doesn't care what's going on in your country. But I can assure you that myself, all the facilitators here who live in the US, people all over the world see what's happening in Myanmar. We care about what's happening in Myanmar, and most of all, we care about the people. We care about you all in Myanmar. So there's not a lot we can do to fix what is going on, but just want you to know that you're not alone and that people really do see you guys and we really do care about you. So since I'm going to be talking to you about coping with trauma, I thought I should probably make sure everyone understands what I mean when I say trauma. So when we talk about trauma, we're talking about an event that overwhelms our ability to cope. Essentially, this is something that you see or that you experience or go through that is so scary, that feels so overwhelming that it's almost impossible for our brain to process it. It's almost impossible for us to really understand and make sense about what is going on and what has happened. A lot of times after we go through something, we go through trauma, we're going to have a pretty big emotional response to it. That's because our brains have been created to help us survive when we go through trauma. So if at any point over the past month you have felt nervous or sad or angry, if you've had a really hard time sleeping, if you've had just thoughts about the trauma that just won't seem to go away, like you just cannot stop thinking about what is going on, or maybe you've tried to just push every thought about what's going on out of your brain. Those are all really normal ways to feel when we're going through something as stressful as what's happening in Myanmar right now. Something else about trauma, and this is going to be the main point of my talk, is that trauma can make us feel like we've lost our value, we've lost our relationships, and we've lost our power. And so I'm going to be talking to you guys about these three main points: about your value, about your relationships, and about your power, and how those are affected by trauma, and ways that we can get those back when we're in the middle of trauma. So first of all, like I said, trauma can make it feel like we've lost our value. When I'm talking about value, I'm talking about your worth and your importance. I'm talking about how much it feels like you matter and like you are valuable, I guess. So a lot of times when we go through something that is really stressful, maybe someone tells us we don't matter. Maybe it feels like with everything that's happening right now that you don't matter, you couldn't possibly be valuable. Maybe you feel weak or unimportant or worthless. Those are all really normal ways to feel when you're in the middle of trauma. So now more than ever, it's important for us to remember that nothing can take away your guys' value. No matter what is going on in your country, no matter what you have seen or what anyone has done to you, your value, your worth as a person is never going to change. Even when sometimes we feel ourselves like we don't matter, like sometimes we feel like I am not important, nobody cares about me. I wanted to remind you guys, no matter how you feel, your value is something that will never change. You will always be valuable. You will always be important no matter what is going on around you. So like I said before, trauma can really have a big impact on our relationships. A lot of times when we're going through something that is really stressful or traumatic, we can feel like we're all alone. We can feel like nobody sees what is happening to us and like nobody cares. Maybe some of you have even lost a friend or a family member because what is going on, or maybe even people that you know or who are supposed to be protecting you who are causing this trauma. So when you're in the middle of trauma, it's a lot of times people want to pull away and they feel like they're all alone. So it's so important to remember that you need to keep your relationship strong during this time. It's really important to be trying to spend time with your friends and family as best as you can and make sure that you're connecting with people. So just some things to be thinking about. How can you make your relationship stronger than this time? Who are people who can help you get through this time? Maybe it's your mom and dad. Maybe it's a really close friend. Maybe it's someone you know from work. And also thinking about what are the groups that you belong to? Maybe you belong to a sports team and you all want to meet and just talk about what this has been like for you. Maybe you are really close to the people in your neighborhood or the people in your apartment building. So just be thinking about who are the groups that you belong to, who can help you feel safe and who you can connect to during this time. And then lastly, like I said before, trauma can really affect our power. So when I talk about power, I'm talking about your ability to have an impact on the world, your ability to change the world by helping others. So sometimes trauma can make it feel like we have no power. We feel like we are helpless to change anything about our situation. And we may feel like no matter what we do, it's not going to make a difference. And in some ways that can be true. It'd be very, very difficult to change everything that is happening in Myanmar right now. What I want to encourage you guys to do is remember that you still have some power to make an impact on your world. So no matter what you're going through, there are people in your life who you are able to help. There are going to be people all around you. Maybe it's your friends, maybe it's the people you live with or your family who are going to need help during this time. So look for different ways that you can use your power. You may not be able to do what you want to do during this time, but I can guarantee you there are people all around you who you can use your power to help. And I would encourage you to start small. Don't think about how am I going to change the country or how am I going to change everything that's going on. Look for a really small way that you can start using your power to help others and having a small impact on your life. So kind of like this illustration shows, we have you here in the middle, and as you're thinking about ways to impact your world and use your power, look first at your family, the people that you live with. How are ways you can help out around your house. Once you feel like you've done that, look at your friends. Who are the people that you see on a regular basis, that you see every day, who you could help in some small way? And once you've done that, maybe look at your neighborhood, but just start by thinking small and then working your way out. So I did want to talk very carefully about this. A lot of times when people are going through trauma, we can have this really strong feeling of hatred. We can feel so angry toward the people who are hurting us. We can feel like we want awful things to happen to them. And that, it makes sense. I can understand why we'd feel that way. But I want to caution you all that hatred and anger can be so difficult to control. And a lot of times when we feel hatred or anger toward one person, we're going to end up hurting ourselves, and we're going to end up hurting the people around us who we love. Hatred and anger can also make us do things that we will regret later. So yeah, like I said, it makes sense why we would feel angry during this time, but I really want to caution you guys to be careful about your hatred and your anger, because a lot of times it can make us do things that we're not going to be proud of later. So just to reiterate this, to remind you guys of what I've said, I would encourage you to remind yourself of your value every day, that no matter what happens or what you see or what has been done to you, that you are still valuable. Be looking for ways to strengthen your relationships with other people. This is such an important time to be living in strong relationships with your friends and family. And then be thinking about small, safe ways that you can change your world by helping the people who are closest to you. And I thought this quote was really appropriate. This is something that I heard another therapist in America say, kind of talking about ways that you can use your power in small ways. So she said, there may be no school right now, but people can still teach. We may have very little food, but people can share. And there may be little of anything, but people can still sing. So even if that is the only thing that you can do right now is sing a happy song, you still have power, you still have the ability to do that, and nobody can take that away from you. Okay, so to wrap up here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I wanted to read you guys a short little story. It's a kid's book I found online that I thought was really appropriate for my presentation. So let me grab my book here. So this is a book. I hope you all can see it okay. I'll try to hold it where you can see it. But this is called The Breaking News. Can you all see this okay? Kind of? A little bit? Okay. So I'll go ahead and read it to you guys. So it says, I remember the first time we heard the bad news. So you can see the family's all, oh, perfect. Family's very happy there. I've just heard the bad breaking news, and now everyone is very concerned. It says, suddenly mom is glued to the television and dad can't stop checking his phone. They whisper to each other, and I pretend not to hear. It is more than a little scary. Mom forgets to tell me goodnight, and dad is too tired for bedtime stories. It seems like everyone else feels it too. At school, my teacher says to look for the helpers. Even when the news is bad, you can still find people who are trying to make things better in big and in small ways. She says, I want to help in a big way. I decide to put on the funniest show ever to make everyone laugh. But the grown-ups don't feel like laughing. I tell them about the shields I'll invent to keep us all safe, but their smiles are small and sad. I try to be on my best behavior all the time to be so good, but they hardly even notice. I think maybe there is nothing I can do to help in a big way. I feel so small. So maybe I can try to do just one small thing. And maybe another, and another, and one more. Small things don't solve everything. The bad news is still there after all. But then again, so are we. All right. And last picture there, everyone's all happy, planting their flowers together. So, all right. Well, thank you guys